This episode is part of a special series featuring participants from Changing the Face of Improv Leadership, an unscripted project that focused on identity in improv by training and mentoring emerging improv teachers from historically excluded communities. In this project, each new teacher learned how to design and lead their own improv sessions during the Unscripted Leadership Workshop. Then they received one-on-one mentorship with an established improv leader who had a shared similar identity or experience, and it culminated with hands-on learning by each participant leading a free improv session with their own identified community. In this series, we're capturing their stories, what brought them to improv, how the program has shaped their leadership and artistic perspectives, and what they envision for the future of improv.
Improv saves, world agrees.
Cuban clown finds a way to do new scenes every time.
Multicultural girl finds a way to be comfortable in her own skin.
Welcome both to Improv Saves, World Agrees, a special episode. I'm Mike Garvin, your host, and I have here, and I'll let you introduce yourselves.
I'm Sara, and I went through this Unscripted Leadership Workshop and Mentorship Program.
Hey, what's up? I'm Julian. I'm a performer here in New York City, and I mentored Sara a bit in developing this workshop for Unscripted, which was pretty fun to do.
And for who was this workshop for?
Well, it was a shared identity workshop specifically, or like a shared identity type of programming. The whole idea was for me to share my specific identity with a group of people that could identify in some way to that shared identity.
Yeah. I'd speak a little bit of that identity, if you will.
For me specifically, it's, I went with the bicultural identity because that's what I am. I grew up in Mexico, and my mom's Argentinian and my dad's American, and it's just like a big mix of cultures and things that I grew up with. And growing up, I always had a bit of like this question mark when it came to my identity, and it was always like something that has been questioned throughout in one way or another. And I think it's really special that I got to share some of that. And I know that not everybody would have been the same exact identity in my workshop, but I think a lot of people can identify with this bicultural aspect. Like, it could be anything. Like, if you grew up maybe feeling a certain way with one specific identity, and then like as you got older, something changed or evolved, it truly could be anything.
Yeah, I feel like we originally started talking with it being like this kind of hidden identity angle, or like just this angle of like, oh, there's a part of me that I either conceal for some groups of people, or just like, I don't know that much about this part of myself, so I kind of like keep it under wraps in some way. Both of my parents are Cuban. That's what I brought to the experience. Maybe even before that, we were also talking about like a Spanish-speaking workshop, but we thought maybe the appeal for something like that in Nashville wasn't exactly all there currently at this moment. And so, then we started moving into this kind of like hidden identity, or like bicultural kind of almost code switching mentality of like cultural identity, and how that can maybe bring a sense of like a new sort of like truthfulness to your improv, or just like depth in a personal kind of way.
Immediately, I'm just thinking about in classes and how I talk about character work in class, and I talk about what a wonderful venue improv can be to explore all sorts of different things. And when we encourage character work, we're doing two things simultaneously in class. We're saying, please play it close to home. Bring yourself. Your authentic, true, and your honest, present self is compelling enough on its own to be in this space, and we need that. But then we also want to tell people, but also try something out. Like, if you want to push yourself outside of yourself a little bit, this is a space for that as well. And that push and pull between where the spaces in which we identify as being ourselves, and the ways in which we're pushing ourselves, and then the ways in which that we're pushing ourselves become the things that maybe become more truer expressions of ourselves, is an interesting venue that improv allows. And so just hearing about the nature of this workshop, I feel as though that probably provided a nice ground to explore some of those ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of my main objectives within the workshop, like that I wanted people to come out with, was just finding the confidence to be fully themselves, like without like fear or question or the fear of judgment either. And also another one was to maybe discover a part of yourself that maybe was like a little bit hidden, like the hidden identity part that like you don't fully let come out all the time. And I think that was fairly successful in the workshop itself. What you said, Mike, it's important to play yourself and bring what you have, because those are the experiences that you know, and that's how you're going to play a three-dimensional character as opposed to just like a caricature or a stereotype. But yeah, it's always fun to play, like for me it would be Sara, but with a twist, like with a little bit like extra. And that's kind of, I think, a goal that I like to do with my improv.
Finding those little moments of yourself with a twist. That's just a wonderful statement on improv, like in general, that, hey, I'm looking for little moments of myself with a twist.
Yeah, I feel like so much of how I play is also like playing relatives, whether they're like close to me or distant, which I think is another self with a twist, is like my brother is kind of me, but a spin on me. But like is a rich character, not calling him a character, but like, you know, a rich person with like specifics and a whole set of ideologies that are different from mine. And it's like, if I can tap into the truth of someone that I know so intimately and well, sometimes that can just like, exactly, create these three-dimensional characters, but also speak to an experience that maybe might resonate with other people because it's actually coming from a real place, and is not just totally inventive. Like I see too many students do scenes where they're like working at Jamba Juice, and I'm like, how many of you guys have ever worked at a Jamba Juice? Like, let's stick to the specific that we know.
What do
like,
you do?
Like let's do things that we know really well. Why not?
Before I go on, I'd be remiss if I did not mention just the whole nature of your workshop in general, I think, is in the DNA of improv. Sara, you've been in class with me, and you've unfortunately heard me go on and on about Viola Spolin and how I think she's important to the DNA of improv. But like the whole thing that she put together was about bridging together cross-cultural communities and giving a platform for that shared space to code switch and then to find a code. It's like you're coming from different codes, you're code switching, and then we're bridging together and creating our own shared code in a moment.
Viola Spolin is a big, I would say, like, her work was a big inspiration too for me, because I've done a lot of volunteer work in the past, and more recently now with Unscripted, I did a couple things with them where I got to participate in a ESL group teaching improv, and that just felt like such a back to the roots of improv moment, and that makes sense. It's like everybody from different cultures, different levels of English, just trying their best to like participate and do sounds and moment, and it's just like those moments feel so special in like the grand scheme of improv.
And on the Spolin front, it's like something Sara and I talked about so much was like play. Just this idea of like true play. And I feel like so many of those Spolin like theater games are like just meant to do that, right? Like open people up to a place of like, oh, I feel comfortable to kind of be myself because there's not judgment in this space. This is a game we're playing.
I take for granted as an improv teacher sometimes how much a simple game like that can be revelatory for people. I had a guy in my level 1 class this past round, and he found the class, as so many people are doing these days, randomly through Google. Like he had no improv experience before. He had no intention of being a performer. He just like sort of saw it, and he was just looking for social outlets or whatever. And so he ended up in class, and we just did a simple character pass exercise the first day. And I was telling people, you'll be broad, be silly, just do some sort of gesture, and it doesn't matter what it is, and we're all going to mirror that around the circle, and we're saying yes and to that. And we got done with that, and we had done like a number of different things, and people were like, ooh, and whatever. And this guy like looks at me, and he's like, I don't think my body's ever done half of what I just did. Because he just like didn't like ever in his life like allow himself to just open himself up to just that playfulness in that moment. And it's just like, oh, you're right. You just don't get the license to do this and explore this. And that simple thing is huge.
Yeah. Using your body, like such a simple thing that you take for granted, but like I feel like a lot of people don't think about in a major way.
At least not since we were adults. Like as kids, we all played with our full bodies and like threw ourselves at things, and just it gets so lost as an adult. And it's nice to be able to reconnect, which I think is what makes improv so special. You're able to be vulnerable in a room with people that like you maybe initially barely know, and you're probably the most vulnerable you've been in years, most likely.
Yeah.
And like you don't get to do that in your day-to-day life.
No. Sara and Julian, how did y'all come to cross paths?
In New York, I spent a lot of time in New York in 2024, last year. I have family there, and I was just kind of like deciding whether to maybe move there more permanently or not. And one of my really good friends from Mexico actually had taken classes at BCC, Brooklyn Comedy Collective. And so I went and checked it out, and I really like their style. It's very fun and very much like the type of improv that I enjoy doing. Within New York is probably one of my favorite theaters. And so I just started checking it out. I wanted to do an intensive, but I think I met Julian initially through Gabby before taking class. But then I also took an intensive where Julian taught like one or two of those classes. And,
I think 2.
Just 2 days. It was a 1-week intensive. It was very quick with lots of different teachers. But I really enjoy Julian's style. And I love seeing him perform. He's a very good performer. He's in a team duo prov called Havana Club, which I love. And he's also part of this other group where they do mostly Spanish improv called Que, where they have one guy who speaks English and comes in and kind of has to justify what's going on without understanding a word of what's actually happening. I love that because my friend Gabby's in that, and I love that because it's basically like having to justify something. It's like basically like gibberish to somebody.
Yeah.
To this guy who speaks English only, it's pure gibberish, but you have to fully immerse yourself and make big physical choices and commit to an emotional point of view.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then that makes it clear to the person who's like, okay, I have no idea what's actually being said, but I can kind of guess that it's this, and this type of dynamic. And I love seeing that happening live. To me, it's really fun.
Yeah, Que is really fun. It also, I feel like it forces us improvising in Spanish, like you said, make big emotional choices.
Yeah.
I love object work, making like clear object work choices. And then just being adaptable, because kind of no matter how clear I think I'm being, even if I'm speaking Spanish, the person who speaks English will come in and label it something different. And I'm like, great, awesome, gonna roll with that. No problem, I can roll with that.
What better way to drive a point home that, Julian, I don't know if like when you teach, character and things that, again, the point is that's not what you say really. And we put so much stress on the content of what we're saying when ultimately it should be how you're saying it and the emotionality and point of view from which it's coming from. And so, that kind of emphasizes that point just in a different way.
Yeah, totally. Playing like strong as hell characters is usually how I try to like describe it, right? Just like as big and as bold as you can. I don't know. And exactly like I said, just like stressing the flexibility with people, I think is like kind of, that feels like a skill that is really hard to come across. Or something that I butt up against with students sometimes, where they just struggle with like, the scene doesn't go the way that they thought it was going to go. And so like, how do I change now? And it's like, well, anything can change at any moment when you're doing this kind of form. So like, we're fully ready for it.
Something I really enjoyed out of from mine and Julian's conversation was, I think I brought up the idea of that mistakes are gifts. And that's like a very big improv idea. But I love how Julian framed it, that it was like, I've never made a mistake in improv. That really stuck with me. And I love that.
I tell my students that all the time, is like, I like mistakes are gifts actually, because it's like, it's acknowledging that mistakes are real, but I feel like I take the delusional angle, which is like, I've never made a mistake in my life. I've never made a mistake in my life doing improv. It's never happened. And I find that when you say that with confidence, people laugh, but then it's like, they get what I mean.
It's also just an acceptance. It's like, I haven't. It's like, whatever scene I'm in, that can't be a mistake because it's still going. That's what happened, and I'm incorporating it. It's not a mistake anymore. It doesn't do us any good to have the language of mistake around what we do sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes we think about like problems that we need to fix, and it's like, there is no problem. I feel like I thought about that a lot when I used to like write more like screenplays and stuff, is I'm like, you'd find yourself in a corner where you're like, how do I get myself out of this? This is like crazy. And it's like, oh, I put myself here. I totally wrote myself here. I totally put myself here. Let's just go back. And I feel like having that mentality in improv where like, I feel like improvisers forget that they're the writers of the scene as well. Sometimes they just like follow the whim and the wave of the like energy of the scene or what they expect the scene ought to do. And it's like, you're fully the writer. You know, do a Deus Ex Machina. That's fine. Who cares? Like, let's just get ourselves out of there if we have to.
Yeah. And then also keep trusting the process. Again, keep trusting that improv process that says this will reward you if you honor it, if you don't run away from it, if you don't shy away or over-evaluate your choices and stuff.
Yeah, I feel like moments like that, in my head, I'm like, oh, wow, I made this hard for myself. Like, it's not like I made a mistake. It's like, I made this harder than I needed to. But like, okay, we will get through it.
Yeah.
Has it been raining all week? Were you ghosted? Again? Are you about to hit the back end of your 30s? Sounds like you could use some food delivered, but even your door seems miles away, doesn't it? Introducing Bed Dash, the delivery service that'll bring your food all the way to your bed, couch, or pile of blankets on the middle of your floor. Most delivery services don't get that sometimes you've got so little motivation that even opening your front door feels like running for president. Bed Dash is different, because our Dashers will not only deliver your food to wherever you're lying in a heap, we even offer a service, for an additional fee, where we'll give you a hug and remind you that making sure you ate something is sometimes an accomplishment on its own. Bed Dash, we'll meet you where you're at. Use promo code IMPROV for 10% off your first delivery.
So speaking of your workshop, getting through it, allowing people to sort of push and challenge themselves in all sorts of ways of code switching and identities, what is your workshop? How did that manifest itself?
I think one of the goals I had coming into this was find exercises and activities and different improv games to try to find more of yourself in character work. I wanted to encourage people to play very strong characters, ideally from people, like Julian said, in their families or that they know and are familiar with. And be confident in playing those characters, but also keeping them as three-dimensional characters. So a lot of the stuff we did was very specific. Like I did an exercise called Family Member, where you would have to pick either a person in your family or in your community. It didn't have to be family member. And just spend some time thinking about them deeply at length. And like think of their accent, their mannerisms, the way they speak, like everything. And cadence, all of it. And then this was a suggestion from Julian, is to come up with 3 words that describe them. So it could be something like mechanic, quirky, silly. I don't know. It could be any descriptors that you think fit like their general persona. And through that, you just embody that person. And then I had my students embody these people and then do scenes with each other's characters.
Cool.
Like this. And then everybody switched over. So like, I think with the amount of students we had, I had everybody do 2 scenes with these characters. And so they all had to play with different other characters. And it's really fun to see, like, especially if you really commit and pick like a very strong character choice, it's really fun to see them like kind of flourish in this and like discover things as this character.
Yeah, I feel like through the process, something Sara and I talked about quite a bit was like clown, both of our experience like studying clown. And like this idea of like everything is real also, you know, it's just like everything that's happened and is happening is like real and is here. Yeah. So like getting to play characters where it's like it can feel like a real life situation, even if it's like fantastical or whatever, really has that rooted in like reality, because you can recall this person's face or like a story they've told you, or just like the way that they laugh, anything like that can just bring this kind of depth and like almost mundane silliness to your characters as well, right? Like not over the top, but just like real quirky behavior. Yeah.
And I also think something that was really important, I think I had a moment where I paused and like had a little blurb about this as the instructor and facilitator. I love seeing people do accents and like big character choices on stage. And as the general rule, it's always been like, okay, like maybe I think someone in Julian's community has phrased it like this, but like do an accent of something you would get cast as. And like the way that I've always thought of it is like just punch up, don't punch down. So like I think the general rule is like any colonizer from the last 200 years is fair game. Even then, I've encountered people who might have like, well, I don't know if like, I have a British friend and fellow improviser who doesn't love to see British scenes and people being like, oh, tea and crumpets. And like, that's a lot of the scenes that have British accents end up being that way. And I think that's very fair and it makes a lot of sense. So my goal was to make it like, okay, yeah, pick a character. And that character could have an accent, could be Italian.
Yeah.
But maybe if they're Italian, they don't have to have a scene all about pasta and pizza. Like they could actually talk about like, oh, my hopes and dreams are this, this, and that. And they just happen to have an Italian accent or whatever it is. Because ultimately, like, no matter where we're from or who we are, I think we're full people and we're not stereotypes. We're not like an idea of a person. And it's nice and fun and it's more relatable for the audience members to see a full person on stage. Yeah. Like, I think the stereotypes and the tea and crumpets and pasta pizza and all that stuff, it's like, can only get you so far. So,
I always tell people in the Italian accents to like open a sushi restaurant. Like, it's like, do something that we've never seen before. Like, you know, people are always like, truth is stranger than fiction. And it's like, then why should we ever play a stereotype or any kind of scene that we've like seen before, you know? Find yourself playing a character that's rich and maybe talks some kind of way, but like does something really specific that you know about, so it doesn't wind up feeling like caricature, right? That it winds up feeling like so real as much as possible.
What I tell my classes about character works, we're hoping to stumble upon specific and singular point of view of character, and we want to discover that. And sometimes when you lead with an accent or you lead with a stereotype, you're shutting down on discovery. You're just saying, here, this accent isn't that funny. I'm leaning into that a little bit, and it doesn't. That's not where the juice is for me, as far as like what improv gives us and where those discoveries are. That's not, you know, some people can do that type of comedy in like stand-up settings, and sure, it can be funny occasionally, but it just doesn't play for me here, and it's not what's special about this art form. But like I try to explain that in The Office, like if either of you like The Office, but the character Dwight, like you don't like Dwight because they're the perfect stereotype of that guy at the office that you don't like. That might have been it early on, but as you go over time, it's like, so Dwight is the uncool guy at the office? Well, not really. He actually has like a vast romantic life that you learn about.
He actually has a sick car.
He has a sick car. He has all of these things. Like over 9 years of time, like you get this very singular point of view that Dwight is, and that's what's fun. We keep discovering the singularity of that character as opposed to, oh, he's just a generic annoying guy at the office. Like it doesn't.
That can be really tricky when you find yourself in like a 4-minute scene, being like, how do I make a character that has seasons and years of like history and knowledge? But like I also think that we should I always am trying to teach characters in that way, where I'm like, know what college they went to, know what their best friend is like, what does their apartment look like, even if you're like at a coffee shop, whatever, like whatever the scene is, know as much about this person as you can. Every spare moment you have, make choices about who they are. You're going to see it with their like Starbucks order, and you're going to see it like, you know, you're going to see it everywhere. I forgot who it was, but someone I took a class with in Chicago also is like, gave the advice that was like, find an object that's like closer than hand's reach, and an object that's like so far away you could never touch it in every scene you do. So it's like, see the cup on the table and see like a raven out the window, and like keep doing the scene, but it's like now you have all of that space in between, and like you can feel the world more. And I try to encourage people to like build their characters and their environments like that, just to like know themselves more.
But also like I feel like as an improviser, I love to do that to my scene partners too. Try to make decisions about them, because a scene is so much better when you know each other and like each other, and like on some level, even if you're arguing in the moment or whatever, but like just having somebody that you know well and deeply, like know 9 seasons worth of this person in 4 minutes is what makes it so special. Because like you can show a history in 4 minutes. You can show that without having to explain it. Like, oh, like, sister, we've known each other for 10 years. You don't have to say that, but you can just be like, in the way you talk to each other, it's so different how you actually talk to your sister than how you talk to somebody who you've just met. So just having that like familiar feeling, I think already shows so much.
Yeah. And also, I feel like part of your bicultural angle was like, we're all doing this, right? Like we all have some amount of like code switching or like multiple spheres in which we operate. And like, not to tie everything into clown, even though I could, it's like, it's the human experience, right? And so like when you give yourself, when you give your scene partner a gift like that, right? Like whether that's familial conversation or like any kind of label or gift that feels real and is authentic and is rooted in something from your own experience, it is likely going to touch them on some personal level, and they will know someone like that. And if like you're both in tune with your realities in some kind of way, then like you can get to something deeper quicker by just like assuming that my experience will be relevant to your experience in some kind of way if I can speak truthfully to my own.
Another exercise I did in the workshop that I really enjoyed was, we called it pennies of truth, but I just had people hold 3 pennies in their hand, start a scene, any scene, like based on a suggestion. And at any point during the scene, you could say something as the actor, or like as a character, you could say something that you as the actor knows as true. It could be a fact, or it could be something that is a truth for you. So for example, it could be like your favorite ice cream flavor. It could be, if you happen to know the height of the Eiffel Tower, it could be that, whatever it is. So, but I encourage it to be like actual truth. If you don't know the height of the Eiffel Tower, don't make up a number. Just say something that you actually know, if that's going to count as the penny. And so, like, if the scene is taking place in an ice cream shop, you could say like, oh, my favorite ice cream flavor is chocolate. And then you throw a penny down. And that's just a truth. And I thought that was a good exercise to bring just more of you, more of the person, more of the actor into the scene. Like we said earlier, it's like Sara with a twist. Well, what if Sara? Like what makes Sara Sara? And all these little like collections of things and facts about myself are what make me me.
I also think bringing truth into the like classroom space makes people engage with themselves, with each other in like different ways. Even if it's like just facts, it's like, well, why do you know the height of the Eiffel Tower? Like, it's like, you know, are you a big Paris fan?
You keep at the ready,
yeah, exactly. Like, what's going on? And I think that kind of like communion almost is like great amongst students in the room.
Oh, absolutely. I did have an instance in my classroom. Like one of them shared something that was so vulnerable, and then the other person who was doing a scene with them was like, "Me too, actually," and like threw a penny down, and it was like, I might be sharing too much, but this is the truth. And it's such a special moment to see that support, live support, and also just vulnerability. Nobody in the room was judging them for anything. Nobody was like feeling any certain type of way. It just felt so real and genuine that I thought was really special. Like it was a very clear example of like what makes us us, and like being able to relate in that moment.
When you were talking about the chord exercise, I got lost in thought thinking about this thing that happened in class the other day where this kid, I believe he's like 19 or 20 in my class, and his class was mostly older women. So it was a 19, 20-year-old kid with a bunch of probably like 40 and 50-year-old women in class. And he was in a scene, and his scene partner was like very much trying to gift him that she was his girlfriend telling him that she's pregnant. and using words like late and all of these other things to insinuate that she was pregnant to the character in the scene. But this 19-year-old kid, the actual kid, not the character, just was so oblivious to what was going on. And the entire room was so aware of how oblivious this person and this character was to this. But then it also like made the scene great because the boyfriend was being oblivious. And so the woman just kept playing into that. And so it was this perfect scene, actually. But it also had this weird element to it because we all understood that we were enjoying his ignorance in the moment. And so we felt a little bad about it, but we were embracing it, and we talked about it afterwards, and he was like embarrassed, but then he was also like, okay. And it was just like, we caught this moment in this true, honest moment. That truth of who that person was in this moment was making that moment.
I think that there is a difference between like laughing at someone and kind of laughing with them, even if it is like that person might have been embarrassed because he was oblivious. It still is kind of laughing with them because it's still like a non-judgmental like laughter in that way.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes people's egos are hurt by something like that because there was something that they did not have information on and other people in the room did. Yeah. But it's like truly, and I'm going to bring it back to this, my tagline, my tattoo across my navel of like, I've never made a mistake doing improv, right? It's like if you have the mindset of like, that wasn't a mistake, right? It's just what needed to happen for the scene and was my truth, which like made sense for this scene, then it's like your ego's not hurt because you're a part of the like machine that's like creating the scene. This also feels like clown to me, like hearing about it, like hearing of a student being like, I have no idea what's going on. And everyone else knows feels like just so, just feels like clown in a major,
pure
major
clown.
way.
Yeah.
And that's great I think that's what you're describing on stage too, where it's like the audience is in on it. It's like, there is no fourth wall where like the experience on stage and our experience is the same one. Like they've melded. I think could be really special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was great. And as far as that kid's ego goes, it was I've never seen anything actually more graceful. Like a very against type for his age. He didn't get defensive about it, and he was like, and then he actually told me at the end of class, we finished that class session last Sunday, and he was like, "Oh, I'm never gonna forget where I learned," and he like rattled off the words that that woman was using to like, and it's like, so he just like, that was a very big learning moment in his life, and he fortunately got to do that in an embarrassing way, but in an embarrassing way that like embraces the embarrassment and tries to turn it into fun immediately. We all carry around the shame of embarrassing moments from our childhood that were not then embraced and saying, "Oh, that was fun." We just sat with the embarrassment and that was it. This was taken up by a community in a moment, and so I don't know.
Yeah.
And ultimately,
awesome.
I think that's what makes improv so special. Again, I think I already said this, but like being able to be just so unabashedly yourself, vulnerable, and without the fear of what mistakes you might make. Because we make mistakes and like we have in our lives that we regret. We have regrets. We have things that we're like, why did I do that? Our cringe moments, as you will. But being able to embrace those is so special. Like if you are the nerdy person who loves a certain thing that like most people maybe made fun of you as a kid or something like that for that specific thing, I think that's kind of what makes you so cool and special. And being able to embrace that and bring it up and like fully like commit to it is amazing. It's wonderful. And it's like what makes some of the best improvisers I've seen, I think.
And that is a chef's kiss thought that I want to wrap this up on. Thank you all so much for hanging out today. And Julian, it was really great to meet you. And
Nice to meet you, Mike. I'll let you know if I'm in Nashville. And
Please
you do the same up here.
All right. All right. Well, have a good rest of the day, y'all.
You as well.
All right. See ya.
This has been another episode of Improv Saves, World Agrees. Make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcast and follow at Unscripted Improv and at Improv Saves Podcast on social media. Improv Saves, World Agrees is hosted by Mike Garvin, produced by Christina Ashworth and Emma Sapika, edited by Cammie York, mixed and mastered by Dave Strumfeld. Thanks for listening, and be sure to join us for our next issue to find out who will agree next.